We do not expect the number of people being displaced to stop. More assistance is needed.
The conflict is raging. Families lose everything because of the shelling, the fighting, the bombing.
I'm truly shocked. We have here a displaced population fleeing after having gone through the most horrifying violence.
COVID-19 has shown us how vulnerable displaced people are to the vagaries of the informal economy.
Venezuelans are trying to rebuild their lives in neighboring countries. They are trying to find a way to provide for their families.
82.4 million people worldwide are forcibly displaced, a devastating tally and the highest on record. Data from UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, shows that the numbers have doubled over the last decade. Beyond the numbers lies a human tragedy. Despite a global pandemic, people continued to flee persecution, human rights abuses, and deadly conflicts. 26 million people have crossed borders to find safety. 48 million are displaced within their own countries. Several crises have persisted for years. Some are new, others are emerging.
والله أنا زي ده ما عرفت عنه لكن بالشفاعة عملوا كان في ماتوا شديد ماتوا والله أي ماتوا قالوا بعد ده قالوا يلا طلعوا مش أي محل كله طلع أي والله.
Tens of thousands have fled from Ethiopia's Tigray region to Sudan since November last year. Millions more are internally displaced and in urgent need of assistance. Nadia, at 17 years old, has been a refugee all her life. Her father fled Afghanistan 40 years ago. In Pakistan, he works 12 hours a day selling rice so Nadia can go to medical school.
He's my life. It's too much important to me. He's too much old, but still he's hardworking. He's dreaming that you should be a doctor.
More than 2/3 of all refugees come from just 5 countries: Syria, Venezuela, Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Myanmar. Among the most vulnerable of those forced to flee are children. 42% of the displaced are below the age of 18. A staggering 1 million have been born into a life of exile in less than 3 years. The failure to end conflicts is robbing generations of their hope for the future. Syria's crisis stretched into its 10th year, while Afghanistan, Somalia, and Yemen are still hotspots. In the Sahel, a complex regional crisis forced millions to flee one conflict only to find themselves caught up in another. People are facing multiple threats and struggle to survive extreme weather and changing climate. In drought-hit areas, armed groups exploit tensions over scarce resources. Sayore abandoned his crops to save his family.
Zabrahman terrori ramba attack ramba wanki tondo village ko kuneba sabab kan kitti tondo déplacement waka.
2020 was an unprecedented year. The COVID-19 pandemic tested the world like never before. Even as infections start to slow in some countries, the threat of food insecurity and lost livelihoods brings new challenges. 86% of the world's refugees are hosted in low and middle-income countries. But there is a way forward. We must strengthen support for displaced people and the communities that host them. As the work of recovery begins, no one can be left behind.
كان الوضع نحن علينا كلياتنا هون معيشة صعبة، بس هلا صرنا أصعب وأصعب وأصعب عم نجي الأصعب، وإنه هلا بيزبط الوضع بعدين بيزبط الوضع، منا عارفين رح نوصل لهون. إجت الكورونا قعدنا على الأرض.
Even in the most difficult of times, hope shines through. Despite her own struggles, Kaukab offered credit services to refugees in Lebanon who could not afford basic items. Some countries kept their borders open to asylum seekers while managing health risks. Refugees themselves were part of the response to COVID-19 in countries that took them in.
On my side as a soap producer, first I decided to put on a lower price so that each and everyone will be able to afford the soap.
We joined the call for global vaccine rollouts to be more equitable and to pick up pace. No one is protected until everyone is protected. UNHCR continues to deliver assistance to those that need it the most, helping millions of people despite the challenges of the global pandemic. Even as insecurity and displacement persist at a truly alarming rate, solidarity for refugees, internally displaced persons, stateless people, and the communities that welcome them is more vital now than ever. But above all, peace must become a priority once more.